Hi, I'm Xavier Lipscomb, and I'm a sophomore here at Western Michigan University. When I was 17 years old, my foreign exchange student who was living with us at the time said, "Hey, want to go to Vietnam with me?" I said, "Yeah." We flew to Vietnam, and we get at the house. Across this parents' house, I see this noodle shop, and it was owned by this family, and this girl was there. She was always outside, and I was just infatuated with this woman. She was petite, she was slim, she had brown skin, jet black hair, her eyes were amazing. And I would always see her in passing, and I would always, every time I would leave the house, I would smile at her, look like we would do a little eye contact. Oh my gosh, she was adorable. And one day, I got to go to the noodle shop and actually sit down, eat, and I watched how this woman that I just knew, barely met, become even more infatuating, even more gorgeous. She cooked this meal for us, and I was watching as she was wiping the sweat off of her face, and she was looking at me, giving me eye contact, smiles, giggling. Oh my gosh, I loved her smile too. I loved her smile. And she would make these noodles. She was making the broth. She was seasoning the noodles, and she presented us with the bowl, looked at me, and she said, "I hope you enjoy." Gave me the noodles, and to this day, these are the best noodles I've ever had in my life. Like, nobody has ever made noodles like these these ones. But after I got done eating the noodles, I was getting ready to go, and I looked up really quick, how do I say these words? And I looked it up, I perfected it, I practiced it in my brain. I was like, okay, let's go. I had butterflies in my stomach. I walked up to her, and I was like, in Vietnamese, I said, "Thank you so much for the food. You are so kind and you are so beautiful." And she smiled, and that made me smile so hard. Oh my gosh, the butterflies were there. It was amazing. And before I got into the car to go back to Vietnam, back to America, with the last meal that I was gonna have in Vietnam in my belly, she looked at me, and I looked at her for one last time, and we smiled. She blew a kiss, and I blew one right back, and we drove off, and I was just geeking the entire way home. And I think, man, if I didn't have as much of a language barrier, and if I knew a little bit more Vietnamese, man, maybe it would be a little something more. Maybe it would have been a really, really cool relationship, or friendship, or whatever. But I left so happy that day, knowing that I at least got to make her smile at least one last time. Thank you.